Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3's Black Ice 11.1 with GGA, Third Reich Events, and the rest of the mods. And we are trying to take Malta without losing any more ships, without things going any more wrong. Producing food is cheap. The third world is more expensive. Yeah, it's the transportation. Getting free food. For a finite time removes the need in economic ways developing agricultural production. Yeah, so you destroy local farmers by sending in aid. That's part of the problem. Now maybe you need to send in the aid, but you destroy the local farming industries because local farming industries are not modernized. And if you give those people modern equipment, they may drive it around effectively for a few months, a few years, whatever, but once it breaks, they don't know how to fix it. They don't have the expertise to fix it. So even if they could use it, shouldn't UK AI keep more ships to protect Malta? Well, there have been a lot of ships, and they've sunk. When I tried to invade earlier, and I did go back to an earlier save because I was just trying to see what was going on, I got all my ships destroyed by some battleships that came out of Malta. Okay, oh, well, there's a battleship at least. There's a DE destroyer escort, a CA, a CL. There could be more than one. So there are some battleships here. They just aren't coming out. They may have been driven in because we are having huge amounts of air coming in on top of this area here for at least 6 months. I've been hitting this, and you can see here, this is where the Italians have been operating against convoys that are trying to supply Malta. So there has been a lot of action. There was a lot of action earlier on too. So yeah. Yeah, see, we're bombing, okay, just a long-range sub right here, but okay, we went out here. This, so we're getting rid of partisans here. Okay, we've done this. We've done this now. Yeah, so we're going to run for port before those guys get out. And hopefully not catch my ships at sea. Supplies for Athens, yeah, go ahead. Pause. Drop all island garrisons. Cool. Okay, Michelle of the Resistance. I will only say this once. That was her tagline. Again, this is from a mod. You can check it out below my Third Reich Events mod. You will help us or we will kill you for collaborating with the Nazis. Yes, so we have Michelle of the Resistance now. The Deutschland was lost out in the South Atlantic earlier, if you didn't watch the earlier episode. Yeah, we get some captured supplies in Alamein. Events are showing up a bit late. Form more flak HQs, anti-air capability flak HQs. We did not do it. Let's see, how expensive? That ain't very expensive. 10 manpower, that's the biggest thing. Okay, we have 1872. Okay, we could do that. Form the core. Now, we can disband some of these units to get some manpower back if we got too many HQs later on. Okay, single engine airframe research. Yeah, grayed out, and armor unit training. That would be here. Let's stop that because we're African Army recruiting. I don't know, will we get? Don't know if we control enough of the spaces to get that. Okay, looks like we made it back without, well, almost. Come on. Yes, we made it back without any more capital ship losses. And we've taken Malta. Now, what does this do? Mussolini's wet dream. Historically, they didn't have sufficient fuel reserves to do anything. That's true. Fuel, yeah, we have. Well, our fuel is fairly high right now for Germany. We have still a lot of, and we're going to get some more here in a moment, I think. How do Germans get their armor in and out of Africa? Oh, well, they mostly put it on ships. And sent it down. Now, I say mostly because maybe some earlier, but mostly is I think later flying them into some 38Ts and whatnot. They were able to stick up toward those big gigant. Started out as gliders, but quickly got engines on them, so big, huge transports, but mostly through ships. To the best of my understanding is, because you often hear about Rommel not having enough ammo and particularly not enough fuel. Germany sent Rommel enough ammunition, enough fuel, and enough reinforcements to keep the Africa Corps running and operating properly. The problem is it wasn't all getting there. So like, we need 1,000 barrels of fuel. Send them 1,000 barrels of fuel. Well, only 2/3 made it. So instead of sending more than enough, figuring that some's going to get lost, they sent just enough, and enough of it got lost that kept Rommel from doing a lot of his operations. So yeah, it's mostly through it. Now, they were also, this way, because the idea that the British would have ships here is actually very unhistorical. Most of the time that, when Malta's under siege, until North Africa's taken, shall we say, Britain cannot keep any ships here. At times they do push some convoys through. Sometimes they get to like here and turn around, and the last few supply vessels dash into port. What Britain does keep here is submarines. But even then, a lot of the time, maybe not all the time, but even maybe not, I'm not sure most of the time, but some of the time, on a lot of it, they would have, because the Grand Harbor is huge and it's multiple areas. So they'd have the submarines, they would come in, normally at night, into the port. They would come in and show up to the submarine dock, offload most of their personnel, and then before dawn, they would take that submarine somewhere out into the harbor and put it on the floor of the harbor with just a skeleton crew. So during the day, and any bombing attacks that happen during the day, no one could see the submarines. It's deep enough and it's a big enough area, you couldn't just randomly bomb it and try to hit anything. So the submarines would be kept on the floor of the harbor during the day. Then at night, the skeleton crew would the ship would surface, go back into the dock, and with as little light as possible, they would carry out maintenance, refuel, fix, because sometimes there was damaged rudders or whatever that was external damage that they'd need fixed. They would fix it up at night, and then as the dawn comes, they would shut down operations, and different skeleton crews, people would have shore breaks, of course, would go out and sink that during the day, the submarine during the day. So they'd sink it during the day and bring it up at night. And sure, there was bombings at night, but since it's a blackout, it's very hard to bomb a specific submarine. It was virtually impossible. So that's how they kept the submarines operating. And it was mainly these submarines that were stopping the supplies coming. There was virtually into this area no, and very much so when there wasn't the Americans around, naval operations here. It was just too hazardous because of air operations, just like these guys are trying to do strikes on whatever, like on these submarines. So that's how it was, and it was very tricky. Okay, new combat aviation. Okay, a couple of things we can talk about here with these mods. Sorry that W Wargamer has already left. Okay, so what does it mean by us getting Malta now? Well, GGA has and you can, again, when you install it, you can, now I don't like what the fuck, WTF, he should have, that's too modern of a thing in my opinion, but You could do goddamn or whatever they might have said back then, but they wouldn't have used WTF. Sort of a modernism creeping into this. Time to use howitzers as anti-tank guns. Was that the time to use it? Well, they were using some of those at Tobruk, I think, and those were like Italian howitzers as anti-tank guns. Tobruk, that pulled the Mediterranean. Well, we Germany, and they were actually feared this, but we took Cyprus and then did a naval and airborne invasion into here, and then came around their rear, and while the Italians were pushing here and met up at Alexandria. But there are various scripted invasions with GGA. He's doing, in my opinion, a very good job with them. There's two basic types of scripted invasion. There's one that's sort of a conventional invasion that, the British invades, say, Greece or something like that. Then there's another type that sort of spawns like a commando raid, sometimes with a unit on ground, or sometimes just like I did see the raid up at the here. It's just an effect that gives some negative effects to Germany or to the region, reducing the resources or whatever. But these events, these sort of SOE raids, won't happen unless the Allies control certain locations. So some of the ones I don't think will happen if the Allies don't control Alexandria, which we had already gotten. Now that we control Malta, other ones won't happen. So if you control Malta, you won't happen. Now, we can look here, and I'm trying to explain what's going on with the mod. We can look here. Okay, well, we see some air battles. Now, I don't know if these were an attempt, because there is no bombing. If these were an attempt at bombing and my air lowered their organization enough before they got to the target that they turn around and went home, or sometimes, and you'll notice this, sometimes because the way this game works is an air unit here, the Allied player will want to send it out to here or somewhere, and it just flies right across Germany instead of trying to fly all around, fly to Gibraltar and work its way around. So sometimes they'll get shot up pretty bad just cruising across Germany. So I don't know whether this was just an attempt to go across German territory or an attempt to bomb it, but there was no bombing. What Revolver held, the GGA developer, we can read here, the RAF bombed the Saar industrial region, that is here, Saarbrücken and Saarlouis. The responsible Luftgau reports that from their bases in England, the Allied bombed this industrial region. This will continue to hurt our production capacity. So as you can see, there is no actual bombing, but we do know historically they did. The AI, I guess, isn't doing a good enough at making sure that they're doing night bombing. But so, SAR region targets, any and all, and what he's done is he's created a little sort of mini map area like the SAR region. We'll get industrial bombings until June 20th, 1941. So for 15 days, high seas here and local resources will get, and plus a -1 in Saarbrücken of infrastructure here. So let's see, so infrastructure here loses that one, and there is a localized effect. You can see here, Germany industry bombing 10%. Let's 50% down here. Let's look here. I just want to see. I'm not quite sure, but what I think I want to see is here. Notice there is no bombing here. This effect. So what he's done is he's gone in here and coded it so that this gets Germany industry bombing down 50% here. So it just affect whatever, however big. I don't know whether it's just these two provinces or some of this other area. I don't know exactly how big it is. We could find out by hovering over some of the areas. But yeah, so this is down, resources down by 50% for the next 15 days based on this bombing event. but obviously not back here in Berlin. So it's just localized. So this represents Germany bombing. Now, if you don't want this to happen, you can invade England, because it is set that Britain has to control certain provinces. I don't know, London or whatever. And there are also other German decisions that they can make that will reduce this stuff from happening. But if you definitely want it to stop, you have to invade Britain. So because we control down here, because we control over here, we will not get later on, unless we lose control, we will not get bombings that would affect Ploietzsee or German oil. So that will help us in that we control this. So this is how he's designed this, which is pretty smart, the way he's designed this. So it's based on control of provinces, and then based on historical things, because the AI isn't doing that. And this is obviously, this only really happens if you're playing against the AI. You wouldn't have this set up if you're playing against humans there. So yeah, pretty smart how it's happening. And so if you don't want it to happen, invade places. But if you invade Britain, Soviet Union attacks. So be careful about that. So now that we've done that, now what we're going to maybe see about doing, though we don't have much of the Navy left, we might see about trying to get Gibraltar. That will be our next possible target here. We'll see what we can do. Now this is something from Third Reich events. Wood gasifiers. Green energy. Well, no, not green energy. Renewable. Well, it's green renewable energy. It's green because it comes from trees, and it's renewable because it comes from trees. See, if we wanted to stop using fossil fuels, we could just do this, people. Wood gasifiers. What these are is, and I think you can use coal maybe, but definitely wood, is you have big tanks that you burn wood. One of the gases that come off of the wood gets trapped, and it gets fed into an internal combustion engine, and it has combustibility to run an internal combustion engine. So you don't need gasoline or oil or whatever. It's just doing this. So Gusloff Works, Waffen Works, Schul, Ringhofer, Tatra Work AG, along with other companies, build wood gasifier systems to be added to commercial, agricultural, and civilian vehicles. In Germany alone, 500,000 producer gas vehicles were used in 1945. So that's at the end of the war. 500,000, whether they be tractors, trucks, city buses, taxi cabs. Now, one of the descriptions I have, these are underpowered compared to, and you can convert the vehicle back to being gasoline if you want to, compared to a gasoline engine, and where like an inner city bus, a bus going between two cities, between two German cities or town, one of the places on the route, it was too steep to go up over. So what they would do is they get there and get to the point. The bus driver would put the brakes on, park the brake on, have all the passengers get off, and have the younger, fitter passengers get behind the bus, and so he'd get the bus started going, and they'd help push the bus over the hump, over the heights of the hill, and then once they're over that, all the passengers would get back on and continue on driving. So this is not a suitable replacement for frontline military field use. It's not in general practice use, but this is suitable for running around a city, some inner city use, a lot of that kind of stuff. So yeah, everyone get out and push. Yep. Well, everyone who's young enough, I mean older people or whatever wouldn't, but men and women would help push the bus over. And this is just one anecdotal thing that happened, but it's just, so it's an underpowered compared to a normal internal combustion engine. But during this time is when they really start to burn wood, and so I have an event here: fuel plus 10% for the rest of the game, because we're no longer using so much of it in the civilian market. I don't know if 10%. Just my wild ass guess. Somebody wants to somehow say that should be more or less. I don't know, but I've seen pictures of. I mean, yes, Well, what you can find is some pictures of some tanks that they used as testing tanks with the system on it. But you also find other tanks that have the system on it, but they were specifically on training grounds. So they weren't well, maybe at the 1945 when the Soviets were coming towards the training grounds they were used, but generally speaking they would use them back, and he has set up like these various Kriegschule. No, that's where is it here? I should move some of these up. Well, Kriegschule, I guess. Oh no, it's over here. He's Panzer Truppenschule number 2. He has a bunch of units, maybe a bit overpowered, and you should really only use these if you're admitting defeat, or unless there's an emergency invasion. That would be, because historically, if there was an emergency invasion, the sort of Werecrest and reserve system was set up to deal with, like when we had the invasion up here. So if the Brits invade, go ahead and make sure you have a commander, and you can use this unit as that. But sending it anything other than a local emergency, you're admitting you're losing to some degree. And now, so if you want to sort of somewhat cheat or whatever and use this stuff, but this represents the idea of a training school. These tanks, some of them would likely have had wood gasifiers. And I do think some at the front line, if I was a frontline logistics officer for a division, I very well might want to have a few trucks on wood gasifiers, just to go, hey, if the conditions are good enough, solid enough roads, whatever, we can use these without burning our precious fuel and whatnot. But it's just not reliable enough to carry heavy loads of what's going on. Thank you, Beamslam. We try to do details well. I can't see having your tank already on fire going into battle bonus. Yes. Oh, another bot on YouTube there, Arno, if you're still around. So I just sort of guessed 10% fuel bonus. I don't know what it should be, but I didn't want to overpower Germany too much. But I also wanted to give that. Britain does, and I do have an event for Britain. Similarly, it doesn't have it still uses the same, I think still uses the same German picture, because Britain also used lots of wood gasifiers. And I don't know if I have an event for it, but I do know Finland, because Finland has lots of trees, also did a lot of wood gasifiers as well, domestically. So Special Forces Unit Combined Arms has advanced. And so I very much with TRE try to be historical. Like I say, I've got to sort of kind of guess on, because I just don't have access that I know of, at least, on how much does that help the economy. 50,000 vehicles to me seems like, 500,000 vehicles seems like a lot eventually, till 1945. In reduction of fuel costs. Oh, so North Korea is still using it. Yep. Okay, so we can see here. We get some little there. Hello. Okay, now we're gonna let these guys sort of head out. Okay, what we want to do here is, I think I have up here, yes, some medium bombers. Now we can get them to here. How far? No. Just trying to see how far west. Only to there. Damn. Okay, so we don't have the ability to get there via air or escort via air. I'm going to wait for their navy to redeploy out. Axis forces seize Malta. Okay, advance. Gain 1 in descent, lose 1 in unit. There. Okay, so we've closed down some of that. Submarine class advance. Well, I've already. Damn, well, I already put some subs into production here, but I'm not going to restart production. Subs are useful. Entry unit training. And small fuel tank, which allows us to get in and improve our fighters, which we will do so now. It will increase our range of our close air support. Yeah, we'll do that too. A little early. We have almost another hole. Oh, we are way low on spies because we're doing a bunch of espionage operations. So let's do that. Lock that down. I don't know. I mean, obviously we can hover over things and we'll get accurate results for Italy. But hunting down, I don't know what sort of navy it has. Okay, motor torpedo boat, small subs. Well, there's a battleship there, looks like. 2 destroyers, a light cruiser. 3 more battleships and anti-sub forces. So they do have some. It's around. We don't really get to control it. Okay, there's another battleship, a coastal battleship, and a destroyer there. Those are our auxiliaries moving. Some of our police forces are around. Midget submarine operating there, which the Italians did have. They were some of the better midget submarines until late in the war that the British started doing some good ones. And they have a DD and 2 torpedo boats. Yeah, they've taken a lot of losses fighting in the Mediterranean. So fortunately, though, we got Malta. We've done that goal. And it's German territory, so it's very hard to find a bit of Malta to click on. So we need to send supplies there. So I like to do this manually. The AI does all kinds of crazy things at times and gets us lots of stuff there. So we'll send some supplies there. Right, and that also will, of course, keep them from running submarines or eventually, I guess they may do convoys, I don't know, but they had been running some submarines, thinking a few of my convoys out here. But now, of course, all these will, or most of these at least, will disappear because they'll no longer try to supply Malta. You need to, let's see, stop all of these hitting here. Point in it. You want to save fuel. And by stopping them, I'll know to send them somewhere else. Kaiser Wilhelm dies. Pause. Okay, mobile unit command control. Reduced our budget of research down. Move one out here, good. And money for crude oil. Okay, because we're not going in this year, we've decided to leave the Soviet Union so we could use more crude oil. But okay. I think they've now left long enough. So let's go back and pick up our African Corps units there. Because right now we control this coastline here. They still have a naval base here, the British do. We haven't invaded that yet. That would be another invasion target here. Obviously, they could move ships out. They had been supplying into Port Sudan, but we've sort of kind of stopped that by invading there. So I don't know if they're really, these may fade pretty soon. There's nothing to supply into there. We're rating it, but here. So trade with Iraq and Iran is fairly safe at this point. Now, one thing I want to say, if you notice here, there's the 15th Panzer Division, and there's the 15th Panzer Division. I like Revolver Held. Revolver Held is a very meticulous modder, but for some reason, he's been really reluctant to go in and edit things that are black ice. So be warned. I renamed this Deutsches Afrika Korps and I put the 2 after it. It had just been Deutsches Afrika Korps because there's also the Deutsches Afrika Korps. You'll get both the black ice and the GGA versions of these events. He should have taken the black ice file and deleted or remmed out the black ice stuff, because I think his versions of the way it happens is better than the black ice. It's not necessarily stronger, but it's more historical immersion, and you do get some better artillery and whatnot. Now you have the ability to reject, the dialogue. You want this yes or no down here. You can go no if you don't want 2 Afrika Korps, but if you accept both of the Afrika Korps, you pay for them. So it's not; these aren't like 2 sets of free units. They're not free units at all. You pay for them. So just keep that. What you want to do, how you want to deal with this. Because I'm experimenting and I accepted both, and I'm not going to delete both just because I've paid for it. Mexico, no, we're not going to trade with you. Okay, what do we have here? Hold on. Let's get this not blinking on and off. Okay. Yeah, I guess I just won't do the HQs. Again, you want to research these because these reduce the time between attacks. You can choose, and it's probably, like I was saying earlier, probably unnecessary to get all these. I'm still doing it. You can save your manpower and your little bit of supplies and not do this. And the reason there is manpower cost, and it's as high as it is, we should know. We also got a lot of these flak regiments now. Okay. Is that, well, okay, this is just that. We can demobilize and get at least some of the manpower back. Oh, consumer goods went up because of something. I don't know what. Right, with the GGA element there. We have all of these flak regiments. Okay. Not sure what to do with them. I thought we were going to get actual flak guns with these, not just the headquarters. Okay, that's a lot. I don't know what to do with all of those, quite honestly. They don't indeed. They had flak units, yeah. This would be U-boat sunk. Convoy rating efficiency down. Uprising up here. Okay, well, go deal with them. Going there, you walk slowly. Okay, now they would like metal. Yes, you can have metal. Okay, well, we're buying a lot of fuel coming in, or oil. We're losing oil here. That would be a problem. But, well, let's see. Notice we have green resource convoys coming from Iran and Iraq on trade, but we don't have any from Egypt yet. So what we're going to do here now is let's come over here. Come here. Create a resource convoy. Let's go from Alexandria to We'll go to food. Let's see what happens here. And this will in time become a problem, trust me, if we don't deal with it somehow. And I'm going to, we have, okay, that's, I don't really want to sell more. Being crude 12. Okay, we're going to stop that. Yvette and Maria, yes, upstairs. You get the point. Okay. Here. That's what I need to do. Okay. The convoy from Alexandria to Fiume has. Okay, look. Pause. Look down here in the corner. Here. Convoy from Alexander to Fiume. 3,335 crude oil every day. Now that isn't going to continue because there is some oil resources down here and oil resources here that have been blocked up because we haven't had it flow. So we're flowing this into Germany. We don't need any more steel, rare materials, or coal right now. So that's overstocked, but we're going to get in a bunch of oil here. Special purpose armor advance, that is here, and it's grayed out, and we can now do some more. I'm going to continue to move more into spine. So this won't last long at this rate. It might be a few days at this rate. Okay, Magdeburg oil industry, so they're going to reduce coal or crude oil there for a while. Okay, now this is a TRE event. Organization Tot Einsatzgruppen Viking, expand the Norwegian industry, including alloy factories and power stations at Telemark, build sub-pens and factories. OT personnel will help keep the partisan in check. So we can either start work, lots of supplies, fair amount of manpower, a little bit of money, mostly energy and metal. You know, the metal is like all the rebar and all the, because you can see the construction work and all of the bunkers and what they're going to do and stuff. And then you get OT vinking, or no, if you don't want it. So what this does here is create part of our garrisoning force here. This is based on a US, oh, I fixed this picture, but it didn't get fixed here. US 1945 document our sort of manual document on Organization Tot, and I did it, and this covers, this command out of here covers into Denmark, and so I created the order of battle as historically as I could, and it's sort of I don't know what these different Oberabteilung Narvik 1 and 2, just how strong they were, but you're getting 3,000 men strong, but they were a significant element there. So we do have that. So that will help us garrison Norway. Okay, state visit of Antonescu in Munich. Romania loses some descent. We get better relations. Hungarian occupation of northern Serbia. Hand over responsibility. Let's see. We don't have a choice on this. I don't like things like this that we don't have a choice on, but okay. That does. Did it already take that? Maybe it already took that. I don't know. That may have just been a information. Okay. Okay, well, we've jumped up because remember it was like 228. Now we're down to that. And so now we're moving just 4.4 crude every day. So that got us a big bunch of crude. Now, Again, we're over 100,000. We'll lose the extra. We didn't need the extra, the other stuff here. There's oil here, guys. There's oil there. And you know what that oil's been doing for a long time? Been pumped out of the ground. But I don't know how long they've been pulling it out because, shipping it out because of, naval warfare. We're killing huge amounts of convoys here, as you can well see, including the Italians. So I don't know how much they've had convoys to move oil, either moving supplies or resources. I do not know. Oh, good. We've got these guys over here now. Well, what I wanted to do is here, as we can see here, we have a base of 4 here. And we're getting 1.9 right now. Better than nothing, but revolt risk is reducing it by 35% or 39% or something. So we're gonna maybe not. We'll send these guys over here to help reduce revolt risk. Let's see resources down here. Mostly oil. Mostly I'm worried about resources. A little bit I'm worried about ICs and other things down here. We don't really care about too much about that. So let's move, I don't know, you down here. We have the 1 police unit there already, so let's move just down maybe to Hebron there. That would sort of expand out the area a bit. Okay, that will help get us more. Now what we can also do here, and I haven't really, but now that we have police forces to somewhat reduce down revolt risk here. Okay. So we're right now at military government, which has plus 16 revolt risk. Local resource is down 70%, and also ICs. When you go to collaborationist government, which reduces, we can't because we have to actually defeat Britain to do that, I believe. But we can't do collaborationist government. But we can do full occupation. So that will go revolt risk from 16 to 18%. So it's only 2% more ICs, or 2% more revolt risk, so which would reduce if we don't have a 0 or whatever. But what it will do is instead of only reducing down 70%, it reduces down 30% ICs and only 25% of resources. So we'll get a lot more resources with just a little more risk. We could go to total exploitation, but you're jumping it up 4 additional percent over that to reduce that. I don't know whether that would be good. Doing the math, I don't know if you send enough, but we're going to go over that. So that will help us get. See, now we are, and this may go up a little bit here, but full occupation is 25%, and over here, yeah. So now instead of 1.8 or whatever it was, now we're at 3.6. It's not a lot, but it helps, and we're going to reduce down the revolt risk more when they the order police show up. Problem with Germany after Panzer III decommissioning, serious mistake. Not quite sure what decommissioning Panzer III. Not quite sure of that statement. What that means. Hello, Sebastian. If I haven't said that earlier. Okay. Now, mountain unit training advance. Good. Button. So that gave us some more a boost, but here we don't have any reduction by revolt risk. That will be helpful. This will be even more, I believe, once we get it. Now we could sell more supplies to the Soviet Union to buy more oil. That is an option. Okay, on board. Come to lovely Sardinia. I think we can move. No, we can't. No, we had military access from Spain. Oh, it only let us strategically redeploy, will it? It won't let us drive into there. I'm wondering if we could. Don't we still have it? No, we don't have military access. I thought we did. Hmm. Thought there was an event that gave us military access. Maybe no, that was Vichy. That was Vichy. Oh, that's Vichy. Um, we have military access through Vichy, don't we? That's what I was thinking. Yeah. No. I thought we had that. Not good. Combined arms integration. Continue. Really wonder. We have radio signals picking up some sort of HQ there, but I don't know what that, how secure that is. Rumors about German troops discarded, but we're not invading, so those rumors are correct. Okay, well, we got some replacement. These guys are already in production a bit. Okay, well, we're going to deploy forces here. Yeah, a bit cheaty, I know. But yeah, there is a limit to how far ships can go, but most of these ships could have made a trip around Africa, I do believe. Yeah, I know I'm saying I believe because I don't know for sure. Not the motor torpedo boats. And we were going around Africa, but it was cutting so close. I couldn't. If I could have just sent them out here, we would have made our main Kriegsmarine, and that's what that would have been sailing around. Now that we have this down here, and again, those who didn't watch before, or the reason we had these guys in, they were in since before the war started in the Mediterranean, and spent when Italy was at peace, being interred up here in Vienna, in Venice, not Vienna. So yeah, little spammy dropping them there, but oh well. Deal with what you have. Oh, okay. We could produce even more. Yes, they did by rail, but those the motor torpedo boats and coastal submarines, because they were actually small submarines that they did, that would be doable by rail as well. They did it by rail for part of it, and part of it was on the Danube for the submarines and motor torpedo boats. But even then, it took months to do it. Took them months, and then once they got there, they had to be sort of put back together. Because they had to pull things like the batteries out of them, and I think the engines out of them. Maybe not the engines, but they had to weight. They had to reduce the weight considerably on the subs, at least. And yeah, they could set up and build German ships and some of the smaller ships in some of these ports. But I'm looking at, yeah, this is sort of like we sent them way out here, and they long voyage around. And that's doable for destroyers and cruisers. It's just that they can't get out here and operate, for extended periods of time. So rebasing, I wish I could do it a little more realistically, and that would be fine. Okay, these guys keep pushing. Well, not you. You go. So, wait for the reinforcements, I think. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just save this. Okay. Get on board ship. This is just an experiment to see what's here because I don't have good enough intel. You'd really be able to have spies to at least get a bigger picture. They've removed, you see assault rifle gained 30%, but they seem to have removed assault rifles because I think it was here. And I really think assault rifles are a game changer. I don't like that they removed it. I don't like that they removed it. Yeah, I'm not happy about that. Again, sort of min-maxing thing. Okay, W Finland. So now we have a little bit of headquarters up in Finland. It's a political unit kind of thing. You don't want to have these in combat because if you lose them, bad things can happen. Or unit training. Go. Training grayed out. Let's get muted fuel tank. We can research some of those. So in the meantime, could be doing better with researching. Don't want to do pack front unless I'm really going overly defensive. So back to here. I noticed we are getting some infantry divisions. Yeah, let's go for another proper armored division. Oh. Let's see. What do assault guns? Let's do an armored division with a mechanized battalion. Just one of these. We're not doing two right now. I think we have an HQ to assign it. How expensive? 9. Ooh, that's expensive. I think we have some trucks to give them that were already produced. So HQ trucks, that would be 7 brigades. Yeah, that sounds good. So we'll do, we'll go back to 2 of these. No, not 3, 2. 31. And we will do that. So we're producing oil rig as we are having a little bit of conditions with that. Not too low yet by any means, but we don't want to. And right now when we're converting over, yeah, we're in a little positive territory. Medium fuel tank. Pause. Okay, well, medium fuel tank will allow us to. We're going to come down here, flying boat. I like flying boats, as you know. So we're going to do that. Okay, this is still mostly in our experimental. I'll just recall them if it's too difficult. If they'll get sunk, I'll go back to the save because this is just more of a reconnaissance. I want to see what the forces are like here. When we take it, we're going to take it. If we just find that it's too well defended, I'll just send it, stop the invasion, go back home and see what we can do about it. But so this is what I was sort of talking about in this sort of special. We were talking about the Ukraine. You may have watched it later. If you're watching this later on YouTube. This is what was done. President Roosevelt ordered by executive order today the immediate freezing of assets in the United States, of Germany, Italy, and all invaded or occupied European countries whose funds and investments had not previously frozen. And that's what I mean by seize. I mean, that is seizing the assets. They're frozen, meaning they're still there. The U.S. government just controls them now. 6 other countries affected by this order: the Soviet Union, Switzerland, Sweden, Portugal, Finland, and Spain will be able to obtain licenses to withdraw funds under strict control. So they might be able to get their money or whatever. This will lead in a few days to Germany and U.S. Shuttering U.S. consulates and expelling diplomats. So they're going to keep the embassies, but they're going to get rid of the sort of consulates and some of the diplomats. So we're reducing our relations, except for, and we're losing money and supplies, except for with Romania, which is affected by this, but will help out. That may cause an end to, and probably we wouldn't get any more new trades, but it may cause the end of these trades here. Yeah, more bombing effects. So this is till July 41. So yeah, okay. Just July 3rd. So it's again like 15 days. Local resources. Future of German-Turkish relations. Should we better relationship with Turkey to stabilize the situation on the Balkans so that we can focus on our fight against the Soviet Union? This is from the D-Worms mods. Offer non-aggression pact. Additional treaty of friendship is sufficient. We're not planning on going into Turkey, so let's invade it. So we're going to do that. Turkey signed a friendship treaty, including non-aggression pact. Very good. So we get a little more popularity and improves our treaty even more. We lose threat on Turkey. Okay. Capital ship air search radar. Let's probably grayed out. Carrier. Yeah, there we go. That's there. We can do fire control. Yeah, let's do that. So that's the kind of thing I think we should do, or threaten to do, and but follow through with. Yeah, see, we'll no longer receive this. Okay, we're going to start losing some of those. We would give them supplies for money. We give them supplies for money, and let's come to the Soviet Union. We're going to try to replace they need supplies badly and they have lots of money. So let's offer trade agreement. Oh, nope. They're not buying? They should like me. We're good buddies. Why don't they like me? That sucks. We may have to stop importing stuff if we can't sell it. I thought we should be able to. You don't want to trade with me? Okay. So, oh, pause. Okay, so because of this, is this doubled our? Oh, no, we got both of these, I guess. So supplies, money, resources. That's nice. Supplies, money, resources. That's from our treaty with there. Okay, so we are invading here. It looks like very little ships. They probably pulled their ships out. The fallen Madonna with the big boobies. Pause. That's the big painting again that the painting everyone's trying to keep control of in Neuville. Rapid, then fast. Vienna takes. I made this event. I don't know what it means. I just read it. Takes the 1941 German Ministerialschaft from FC State. Probably means something to you guys, you football people. Yes, I'm using the appropriate term instead of soccer, but yeah, there it is on advance. So hopefully you guys find that interesting. Okay, we'll let that continue. UDDs from Romania. Money for supply short. Yes, please. Oh, we are in a battle. Well, against a HMS Rainbow. Question is can we get this? One, and two, can we get this before they send reinforcements? Either more ground reinforcements or naval. So we're going to keep pushing on this. If we can get Malta or get Gibraltar, we shut down the Mediterranean entirely, which will keep, in my understanding, keep the scripted torch landings from happening. Benign organization. Still 90, 105. Looks like we might be able to do this. Okay, kiss and greet operation closed down. When the war's beginning, a steady stream of packages, many marked gross and cross greetings and kisses, had been sent from the United States. I haven't heard about this before. Wolverholt's come up with some very interesting history lessons here. It has been sent from the United States through neutral countries to Germany by a number of U.S.-based organizations, euphemistically termed travel agencies, advertising special combinations of gift packages in German language newspapers. Despite high prices, one mail company, Portua Corporation of Manhattan, admitted it had sent 30,000 food packages to Germany in less than 3 months, a business which exceeded US $1 million per year. The British said that of the 25,000 packages examined in 3 months, 17,000 contained contraband of food items as well as cash and all manner of foreign currencies, diamonds, pearls, maps of potentially military value. When a ton of airmail from the American Clipper was confiscated in Bermuda, the American government banned outright sending of parcels through the U.S. airmail. During the period, the Italian Lotti Airlines flying between South America and Europe was also used to smuggle small articles such as diamonds and platinum, in some cases concealed within the airframe, until the practice was ended by the Brazilian U.S. governments. The airlines assisted in Brazil's confiscation at the British intelligence services. In the Americas, engineered breakdown in relations between the airline and the Brazilian government. The U.S. travel agencies were eventually closed, along with the German consulates and information centers on June. How interesting. I did not know that. So I guess we gain 10,000 rare materials. Well, we already have more than we can possibly use. That's what I don't know. I don't know what to deal with all this, especially the rare materials. A lot of that's by captured stuff this playthrough. So, but well, that this was meant to, I guess, up till now we've gotten this in, so that shoots it over. So that's just basically wasted for us. So a note to everyone. After a while, I stopped. Well, I didn't stop, but we should, okay. Let's stop some of these. I should have stopped them before. We're going to stop all of these. Hopefully the Soviet Union will still have money to buy our supplies, but we're going to cut down our expenses here by not importing rare materials from the Soviet Union anymore. Man, there's a lot of rare materials, but we've got so much. We have been doing a lot, but I stopped growing there. We're still bringing a bunch from Finland. These are mostly smaller trades. I didn't realize there's that much from the Soviet Union still. Well, it was interesting. Well, I watched, I think it was Chinafil's channel, talking about, he interviewed somebody talking about the German sub operations in the Black Sea. I think it was his channel. Good YouTube channel on naval stuff if you want to check it out sometime. I forget if it was Romania or Bulgaria. I think it was Romania, but I'm not sure. One of them, they had bought some of their torpedoes or some of their submarines from, I think some from Britain and I think some from Italy. But like the British one, the tubes are different size than, I'm probably getting some of this wrong. I'm almost sure I am. And it could be Bulgaria. The torpedo tubes were different size than they couldn't use German torpedoes, and they only had like 9 torpedoes left at the start of the war. With the Soviet Union, and of course Britain wasn't going to sell them any more torpedoes. And a similar thing, and again, I might be mixing up the countries here between Bulgaria and Romania. For mine, they had one of them had a mine laying submarine, but they didn't have any more mines. And again, they were like British sea mines, or British sea mines, I'm pretty sure. And they couldn't get any more of those, and the mine racks were different, so they couldn't readily alter them to accept German mines, and Germany wasn't going to build special sea mines in the size that Britain used just for the operation. So they had some of these submarines that they did not have weapons platforms for. Ground focus attack. Okay, that is here. We're going to let that continue because that's good. What are you? Would like supplies in exchange for money. Let's wait a day or so before deciding about that. Just keep grinding on this. Not the best possible invasion forces, but we are here and we have them and we're moving now. Okay, see, now we have a lot of extra, so I don't need to make supplies to sell. We're not going to do Colombia. Oh, we should have just done it. Well, it's pretty big just to try to get Saudi Arabia as friendly, but the more you trade with a nation, the more friendly it becomes. As a general. Well, British raids in Norway. Okay, so let's see. Does that give us, is that an actual sort of invasion-like thing or just an effect? Some of them are effects. Some of them are an actual sort of, oh, yep, here we are. Okay, so this is a, okay, so this is what happened before, is they, and you could choose not to have this, but now that we have plenty of forces here, we just had a minimum garrison and this got landed on us. Unit command control. Look around here. Things that maybe we should be doing, like radars, aviation. Yeah, let's do these 41. Okay, these guys will be enough to hold this, I'm sure. But they're starting to lose a bit more. 53. Meaning advance. Finishing capacity. Is that the one that's pushing it over? Yeah. And landing craft flotillas advance. That's good. So that'll give us more range, more transport capacity. And yeah, we'll let that continue. Yeah, it's not gonna end well for them here. Now, I will say that there is a little bit of a problem here. Revolver Hell has been developing his mod for a while. Supposedly, and I've yet to experience the invasion, and I've been playing through this very sort of fast and furious. Not the way I'd want to for myself, but maybe about the speed I would do it for here. But notice, they're defending, and they're the invaders. We're attacking, and we're the defenders. I think what I understand, I'm trying to pick my words carefully because it's dealing with other people. My understanding is that the Black Ice people have stepped up their game, and they now spawn an invasion that is actually out like in the water in the channel with it already sort of invading. Because when it used to be, when you built you built the Atlantic Wall, and then you had a scripted invasion, that Atlantic Wall actually helped the invaders because they were considered the defenders and you were the attackers. So the stronger your Atlantic Wall was in this mod, the easier it was to invade, actually, for a straight invasion. Now attacking, if they once they control this and trying to attack other provinces out, that was a different matter. But the scripted invasion one was actually helping the invader. And so if we had fortifications here, we do have coastal fort, but that only affects an invasion, so it doesn't affect what's happening here now. Yeah, I want to see how GGA's works in practice, and then hopefully we can get Revolver Held to convert the landing script to happen so that fortifications would be of. Okay, now that we have lots of money, we're going to say yes to the fuel here coming in because we have well for that, but no from Venezuela because we're not bringing it across the Atlantic. Might just get this. That's a major defeat. Where do we have a major defeat? Oh, gain 10 war. Go to where? Oh shit, we had a major defeat here. Okay, damn. Okay, well that wasn't looked for. Well, we have Khartoum. I don't know how they're getting supplies through there. Okay, we've captured up to here. Now you remember, or I'm going to make a save here. Again, so far my playthrough, and I just want to reinforce everyone who's watching, that once you start up a session and you start playing it, you very early just you make a save. If it crashes, you go back and reload. You delete the zero file size save. Once you make a successful save, so long as you're not alt-tabbing in and out, and I've been live streaming now for, 3.5 hours and paused for quite a while, but I haven't alt-tabbed in and out once I started this. I just have hotkeys to start and stop the recording. it's saved every time successfully. So what you will find is, even if it's saving successfully, what I really sort of hate, and I'm thinking about removing or changing, getting rid of from my personal game here, the autosave. Because if I'm doing like this, you know, scrolling in and out while it's trying to autosave, or I'm trying to do something else, that can crash the game, but that's a different sort of issue. Okay, we want to stop you. Stop anybody who's still doing naval strikes here. Oh, they got them all. Air flick the Gestapo. Look at that. I still am proud of that mod. That was one of the first one. Confis access merchants in U.S. ports. Okay, so we gained some dissent, more of it. U.S. loses some. German weather ship Landsberg. German weather ship used early years of the Second World War. Provide weather reports for German shipping, particularly German U-boats, after the German use of such vessels had been identified as a weakness that could be exploited to break the Enigma code. Landsberg was captured and sunk. On the 20th of June 1941, the Royal Navy acquired important code books and parts of an Enigma machine. So, say parts of an Enigma machine. So it looks like they had some success in destroying it beforehand, but didn't successfully destroy the code well enough. Oh, it looks like there's submarines operating out into here at the moment. Guessing that's what it is. Take them, take them. Now you're starting to lose here, but take them. Now, if we don't take them this time, we're going to immediately come back with a different set of divisions and try again, because they'll be weaker. And hopefully we'll get back before they can properly reinforce. They're down faster than we are. Okay, so we won here. We had enough troops. Yeah, okay. The battle damage, that'll get repaired. Yeah, I don't have an airbase close enough. I've got my longest range possible bombers. They can only get to here. No, they can only get to here. Can't get there, Arno. I want to. I don't control an airbase. Nothing else. Oh. Pause. Okay. What is here? Yeah. This is going to end it right now. This is what I wanted, the bombers here. I'm going to go back to the save. Oh, well, what's happening to resolution? What? How am I syncing everything? Grasp Bay is still, landing craft flotilla. Auto saving. Wow, we're actually doing really good here. We took out some of the ships. Now, if I thought I wanted Navy, but Grasp Bay has retreated back out of the action. Okay, Croatian Infantry Regiment. Cool. Supplies for Crete. Fine. Probably end up just heading back home eventually. Yes, expand our shipyards. Resolution. Yeah, we took out HMS Resolution. They're trying to reinforce the garrison. Here's what they're trying to do. Oh, wow. We survived. Wow. I am shocked that we survived this. But now they've got all the New Zealanders here. Oh, what? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? What happened? They back sea battle again? Okay, well, Grasp Bay, man. Landing craft. Wow. Somehow we survived all that. Are they bouncing back and forth? What's going on? I'm not sure. Okay. Steel industry at Warple is affected for a while. Oh, Le Havre. We're being invaded in Le Havre. Oh shit! I didn't realize we're being invaded in Le Havre. Okay, well, in counter move, go. That's why we have these divisions here. Go. These guys are not very good, but go. Okay. Well, Tactical Air Command. We'll let that continue. Now, if we had those with them, it would have been better. Movement. And now we're attacking this versus all of that. Yeah, I think our invasion is going to have to be called off here. So I think this is where we're going to end today. I want to thank you all. Beam Slam, Arno, Toy Jets there. Would have done better with some Z-plane ships. Yes, we would have. Yes, you're right, Toy Jet. Don't know who else is still here other than Beam Slam, Toy Jet. We would have done much better. I want to thank you. Everyone else, if you haven't already on YouTube, if you can hit that like button. Laharve, sort of in French, larve. So yeah, they're attacking here. Oh, okay. Well, like I say, toy fail. Okay. Thanks everyone. Please post comments, questions, tips. See you next time for more Hearts of